Okay, let's pick up from where we left off. So we are talking about the rhombus, and I drew on both of these double hexes up here. So I have a blank double hex so we can see how many rhombuses it takes to fill this up. So the easiest way to draw a rhombus is to put a point in the middle and then connect every other vertex. So there's one rhombus or triangle. Some people like to call that a triangle. There's another one, there's another one. So you can see three triangles. That kind of looks 3D, doesn't it? Three triangles make one of these and then three more. So do we agree that the rhombus would be 1/6? Because 3 plus 3 is 6, make a whole, and this is 1 out of 6. So if you didn't draw on both of your hexagons, you could put that in, but I'd drawn on both, so I just found a blank sheet I could use. Okay, green triangle. So we could make triangles from all of these to find out how many triangles make a whole. And we see that this is 1 out of 6 plus 6, 12 make a whole. So there are our fractions, and that's what we're going to work with on the rest of this. We're going to practice multiplying, adding, subtracting, doing all kinds of things with those fractions. So 2 says, what equality relationship exists? So they want to know how many of these make a whole, how many of these make a whole, how many of these, and so on. So hopefully you recognize that the denominator tells you that 2 hexagons equal 1 double hex. And that would mean 2 times 1/2 equals the whole. And that makes sense, right? If you have 2 halves, don't you have a whole? Because we just said a hexagon was a half. So you can see how that relates. So what about the trapezoid? How many trapezoids make a whole? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 trapezoids make a whole. Oh, I'm not going to be able to get it all in, but we'll do the best we can. So 4 trapezoids equal 1. Let's call double hex DH, just so we don't have to keep writing it. So 4 times 1/4, so that's what a trapezoid is, equals 1 whole. So do you get the relationship there? So if you have 4 of 1/4, 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is 1 whole. And next we have the rhombus. The rhombus is 1/6. So that means you can tell by looking at this other picture, 6 rhombi, I wonder if I'm saying that right, make a whole, right? So if we have 6, move the paper up a little bit. I don't know if it's rhombi or rhombuses. I'll just do this. 6 rhombuses equal 1 double hex. And a rhombus, as we said, is 1/6. So this relationship would be 6 times 1/6 equals 1. And that makes sense because there's 6 copies of 1/6 would make a whole. And then last we have the green triangle. So we can see 6 plus 6, 12 make a whole. So 12 triangles equal 1 double hex. So 12 triangles equal 1 double hex, but each triangle is a 12th. So 12 times 1/12. If you have 12 copies of 1/12, you do indeed have the whole. So that would be called the equality relationships. How many make a whole? So if you multiply the fraction value times that many, you should get the whole. Okay, so let's do some adding and subtracting. So up here, we need to write a little key so we don't have to keep looking back. So a hexagon equals 1/2. A rhombus, oops, they're doing colors, dang. So this would be yellow. And a red rhombus, or a red trapezoid, sorry, is equal to 1/4. And I'm just copying this from the other page just so we don't have to keep turning the page over. A blue rhombus from the other page is 1/6. And a green triangle is 1/12. So now we have that little key up there so we can use that. So we're going to use those numbers to make addition and subtraction problems. So let me get the page squared away here. So yellow plus red. Yellow is 1/2 plus red is 1/4. So what would the common denominator be? 4 could be 1. 8 could be 1. So if you said either one of those, that's correct. I'm going to pick the smallest one, 4. And then we do the same thing we did on the last exercise. What do we multiply 2 by to get 4? 2. So whatever we multiply the denominator by, we multiply the numerator by as well. So that would be 2/4. This one already has the common denominator, so we just bring over the 1. So we can see a yellow hexagon plus a red trapezoid is going to equal 3/4 of the double hex. So just using a fun little thing to help us add and subtract fractions. So yellow plus blue. So yellow is 1/2 plus blue is 1/6. What's the common denominator this time? Could say 12. What's even better? 6, right? Because they both go into 6. So I always try the largest number first. So I list it first. Do they both go into 6? If the answer is yes, pick it. So make them both 6. So to make the 2 into 6, we need to multiply that by 3, which means multiply the 1 by 3. This one already has the common denominator, so it doesn't need to be changed. So 3/6 plus 1/6 is 4/6. Are we done? Nope, because look at how they're both even numbers. Whenever they're both even numbers, that means 2 goes into them, and this fraction can be simplified. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So the hexagon plus the rhombus equals 2/3 of the double hex. Same thing again, blue plus red. So how about you guys shut off the video and do C and D? Because the next 3 after that are a little bit tougher. So I would say shut off the video right now and you try those 2 on your own. Okay. So blue is 1/6 plus a red is 1/4. So 6, nope, that doesn't work. 6 times 2 is 12. Ding, ding, ding. There it is. 12 is a common denominator. So this one, both fractions are going to have to be multiplied. So 6 to turn into 12 needs to be multiplied by 2. 4 to turn into 12 needs to be multiplied by 3. And both their numerators, remember, get the same number because this has to be 1. So 2 twelfths plus 3 twelfths is 5 twelfths. Does that simplify? Do they have anything in common besides 1? Nope, they don't. 5's prime. So let's see how you did on this next one. So looking at our key, yellow is 1/2 and green is 1/12. So remember, we always start with the biggest number first. So list 12. Does 2 go into 12? Yes. So there's your common denominator, because you save yourself work by picking the smallest one. So take the larger number, multiply it by 1. If this goes into it, boom, you're done. If it doesn't, then multiply it by 2 and keep trying. So 12 is our common denominator. 2 needs to be multiplied by 6. And 6. So that would be 6 twelfths, and we know that's 1/2, right? This one already has the common denominator, so let's bring it over as is, and we get 7 twelfths. They get easier and easier, right? And now they're going to add in a little bit of fun. So now this is like saying 2 times red. So 2 times, look at your key above, red is 1/4, plus 4 times green, look above, that's 12. So when you're multiplying fractions, and we have a section on this coming up, you multiply straight across. So if there's no number underneath, if it's a whole number, just put a 1 and then straight across. 2/4 plus 4/12. So start with the larger number, 12. Does 4 go into 12? Yes. So I already found my common denominator. And some people may say simplify first. If the fractions were large, I would do that. I would simplify first, but they're not too large, so I'm not worried about it. But you could make this 1/2 and this one 1/3 and have a common denominator of 6. But we're all going to get the same answer, you'll see. So to make this first one 12, 4 goes into 12 3 times. So multiply the 2 by 3, 2. This one already has a common denominator, so it's good. So 6 twelfths plus 4 twelfths is 10 twelfths. So can that one be simplified? Are they both even? If the answer is yes, then you start with 2. And the answer is yes, they're both even. So any number that ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8 gets simplified using 2. And this is 5/6 when it's simplified. Okay, we may just have time to write this one down, but that's okay. We can come back to it on the next video. So yellow is 1/2, red is 1/4, blue is 1/6, and a green is 1/12. So even when you have 4 fractions, the same rules apply for common denominators. Start with the larger number, 12. Does 6 go into 12? Yes. Does 4 go into 12? Yes. Does 2 go into 12? Yes. So let's write 4 fractions, all with denominators of 12.